All right, welcome back. So in our last explainer, we figured out how to get information from a user. Today, we're going to dive into what we actually do with that info. We're talking about operators. These are the real workhorses, the fundamental symbols that let your Python programs actually think, calculate, and make decisions. Let's jump right in.
You ever stop and think about that? When an app asks for your birthday, how does it know if you're old enough? Or how does a video game know you've got enough points to level up? Well, it turns out it's not magic at all. It's just the simple but super powerful logic of operators doing their thing behind the scenes.
So what is an operator really? At its heart, it's just a symbol that tells the computer to do something specific. It could be math, it could be a comparison, anything really. You can think of them as the action words, the verbs of the programming world. They make stuff happen.
Let's take a look at a super classic example. In this line of code, z equals x plus y, that little plus sign, that's our operator. It's just telling the computer, hey, take whatever's in x, add it to whatever's in y, and you're done. It's really that simple. And these little symbols, they're the first tools we're going to put into our programming toolbox.
First up, let's grab the tools you probably already feel comfortable with, the arithmetic operators. Seriously, just think of these as the calculators that are built right into Python, ready to handle any math problem you can throw at them.
Okay, so you're going to recognize most of these right away, of course. We've got our plus, minus, multiply, and divide. But Python also gives us a few other specialized tools that are really handy. We've got the double asterisk for doing exponents, raising something to a power. And then we have two others that are incredibly useful, modulus and floor division.
Let's zoom in on one of those special ones, the modulus operator. That's the percent sign. Now this one's cool. It doesn't give you the answer to the division, it gives you the remainder. So if you divide 10 by 3, it goes in 3 times with a remainder of 1. The modulus operator just hands you back that 1. This is amazing for stuff like checking if a number is even or odd. Super useful trick.
Okay, so we can do math. Awesome. But now let's get into making decisions. And this is where our next set of tools comes in, the comparison and logical operators. I like to think of these as the judges of your code. They look at the evidence and decide which path your program is going to take.
These guys are all about comparing two things. Is this number bigger than that one? Does this user's password match the one we have on file? And here's the crucial bit. The answer you get back isn't a number. It's always, and I mean always, a simple, clear, true, or false. And that single result is the foundation of all decision-making in your code. Just look at this. Let's say x is 10 and y is 5. We ask Python, hey, is x greater than y? And Python doesn't even hesitate. It looks at the values, does the comparison, and just comes back with a definitive true. In the world of these operators, there's no maybe. Everything is a clear yes or no.
That's all well and good for a simple one-on-one comparison, but life is rarely that simple, right? What if you need to check if a user is old enough and has a valid membership, or if they have enough health or maybe a special power-up item? For that, we're going to need one more tool.
And that, my friends, is where logical operators come into play. The best way to think of them is like the glue that connects all our little comparisons together. With and, both sides have to be true. With or, just one of them needs to be true. And not, well, it just flips the whole thing on its head. True becomes false, and false becomes true.
Here is a perfect real-world example of this in action. Let's say you want to check if someone's age is within a typical working range. Well, you've got to check two things, right? First, is their age greater than 18? And second, is their age less than 60? The AND operator lets us chain those two questions together into one single, powerful check.
All right, we've filled our toolbox with calculators and judges. Enough theory. Now it's time to actually put these tools to work and build something. Let's see how they all come together to solve a real, practical problem.
So let's go back to that whole age-checking idea. Say we want to build a tiny program to check if someone can vote.
The logic is actually incredibly simple. Step 1, you get the person's age. Step 2, you use a comparison operator to check if that age is greater than or equal to 18. That's it. The result of that one comparison, which will be true or false, tells you exactly what message to print to the screen.
Now, before we wrap up, I have to give you a heads up. As you start using these tools, there's one tiny, incredibly common mistake that trips up almost every single person when they're starting out. It's so subtle, but it can cause a world of headaches if you're not looking for it.
And here it is, the single equal sign versus the double equal sign. Please, please, please burn this into your memory. A single equal sign, equals, is for assignment. It's a command. It's you telling Python, hey, make x equal to 10. But the double equals is for comparison. It's a question. It's you asking Python, is x currently equal to 10? Getting these two mixed up is probably the #1 cause of bugs for new programmers. Seriously.
Whew. Okay, we have covered a ton of ground, haven't we? We've gone from simple addition all the way to building complex logical conditions. So let's just take a breath and quickly recap the essential tools you've added to your programming foundation today.
Just think of it like this. Your arithmetic operators, that's your calculator for doing all the math. Your comparison operators, that's your scale for weighing two different things against each other. And your logical operators, that's your checklist for making sure multiple conditions are all met. Calculator, scale, checklist. Those are the absolute building blocks of logic in your programs.
And there you have it, a deep dive into Python's operators. See, these symbols are so much more than just, well, symbols on a screen. They are the instruments that you, the programmer, use to breathe logic and intelligence and decision-making into your code. You now have the fundamental tools. The only question left is, what are you going to build with